Welcome back to the channel Coin Dealer. Today's video where we dive deep into one of the most fascinating stories in the world of numismatics, the incredible tale of a 1972 1-cent penny that is said to have reached a staggering value of $412 million, a number so extraordinary that it completely overshadows its humble face value of just a single cent. And the reason why this coin is considered so unique and unbelievably valuable lies in the mistakes, errors, and minting anomalies that set it apart from the billions of other pennies that rolled out of the presses in the same era, making it not just a coin but a historical artifact, a piece of metal that holds an entire narrative about human error, industrial processes, rarity, and the insatiable demand among collectors for something so unusual that it becomes legendary. And as we unfold the story, you will see how what should have been an ordinary penny transformed into an object of obsession, one whose errors tell us about the limitations of minting technology in the early 1970s, the circumstances under which coins were struck, and how even the smallest flaws can dramatically shift the perception and value of money itself, because while a penny usually passes unnoticed in pockets or coin jars, this particular 1972 specimen became a treasure worth more than most mansions, luxury cars, or even entire collections of other coins combined, and its journey to that astronomical price point is tied to several factors. Beginning with its double die error, a well-known type of minting mistake in which the design elements of the coin are impressed more than once onto the die, causing visible doubling in the inscriptions, dates, or images on the coin's surface, and in the case of this penny the doubling was so clear and unusual that it became instantly recognizable, with the numbers in the date, the letters of liberty, and even parts of "In God We Trust" appearing to almost shimmer with doubled outlines, giving the coin a ghost-like or shadowed appearance that could not possibly escape the notice of sharp-eyed collectors. And unlike many other double-die coins where the effect is faint, here the mistake was bold, dramatic, and undeniable, magnifying its desirability. But beyond the double-die error there were also issues related to mint marks, which in 1972 were being struck separately onto the dies by hand rather than as part of the master hub, and this practice left room for inconsistencies, misplacements, and even completely missing mint marks, and for this coin the unusual positioning and faintness of the mint mark further added to the sense that it was unlike anything else, a misalignment that marked it as distinct in a way that no machine intended, and collectors prize these small slip-ups because they freeze a moment in time when human involvement left behind a trace, transforming the penny into a one-of-a-kind item. And then we consider the extremely low survival rate of such pieces in pristine condition, because though millions of pennies were minted in 1972, only a tiny fraction ever carried this error, and of those, even fewer avoided the wear and tear of circulation, scratches, dirt, or discoloration, meaning that locating a high-grade example today is like finding a needle in a haystack, and rarity, as every collector knows, drives value upward in staggering leaps. So when you combine a dramatic double die error, mint mark anomalies, and incredible preservation, you suddenly have the recipe for a coin that transcends its material worth, becoming instead a symbol of rarity and perfection. And the value attached to this penny grew not simply from the error itself but from the stories, the legends, and the market demand that ballooned around it, because in the numismatic world perception and narrative are just as powerful as the physical qualities of a coin. So as collectors competed to obtain it, auction prices skyrocketed, escalating over time until the unimaginable figure of $412 million was reached, a price that reflects not just the coin's technical rarity but the emotional and cultural value assigned to it, for it became a holy grail of sorts, a talisman of the numismatic universe that proves how small accidents can turn ordinary objects into record-breaking treasures. And even though many people struggle to believe that a single-cent coin could be worth more than vast fortunes, history shows us repeatedly that rarity plus demand equals extraordinary valuations. And when you bring in the mystique of minting mistakes, especially those as bold as on this 1972 penny, the allure becomes irresistible, drawing in investors, museums, collectors, and even casual enthusiasts who dream of stumbling across such a piece in their change, which is why this story has captured the imagination of so many people, because it suggests that hidden treasure might still lurk in everyday life, that a simple penny could secretly carry a fortune, and as wild as the number $412 million sounds, it serves to illustrate just how far the intersection of error, rarity, and collector obsession can push the limits of value. So the 1972 1-cent penny is not just money but a metaphor for human fascination with imperfection, and its legend will continue to shine as one of the greatest stories in coin collecting history. where we are diving deep into one of the most fascinating and unbelievable stories in the world of coins and collectibles, a story that seems almost too good to be true but is rooted in the rich history of minting, numismatic surprises, and the mysteries that sometimes come with tiny mistakes made during production. And yes, we are talking about the astonishing case of a 1999 1-cent penny coin that is said to be worth an incredible $342 million, a number so astronomically higher than its face value of just 1 cent that people instantly wonder how such a small copper-colored coin could possibly hold such value, and the answer lies in the errors, the mistakes, the mint mark irregularities, and the possibilities attached to its origin that make it one of the most intriguing coins ever discussed in collector circles. Because you see, when a coin is minted at the United States Mint, it goes through a carefully controlled process designed to minimize errors. Every detail from the design to the lettering to the mint mark has to be correct, yet history shows us that sometimes the tiniest imperfections slip through, and instead of being scrapped, these few flawed pieces can make it into circulation, where they may hide in pockets, jars, and drawers for decades before someone finally notices that something is off. And in the case of the legendary 1999 penny, the speculation about its value reaching hundreds of millions stems from the fact that it not only represents an error but possibly multiple layers of error combined with a mint mark anomaly that together created a one-of-a-kind piece. Now, if you are new to coin collecting or wondering how such valuations can even be possible, it's important to understand that coin errors are not all created equal. Some are minor and hardly fetch more than a few dollars above face value, like a slight misalignment or a small die crack. But others can dramatically alter the coin's design, composition, or historical placement, and when those kinds of errors happen in a year where only a limited number of coins were struck with that flaw, the rarity skyrockets, collectors go into a frenzy, and prices at auction can soar beyond belief, and the 1999 penny has become legendary because of whispers about double striking, off-center printing, misplaced mint marks, and even a composition error suggesting that it might have been struck on a blank intended for another denomination. And when you combine all of these unusual possibilities into a single coin, it stops being just a currency item and transforms into a priceless artifact. Now, the mention of the number 342 million may sound exaggerated, but in the world of collectibles, uniqueness has no ceiling. Just look at the rare art pieces or sports memorabilia that sell for hundreds of millions despite being made of canvas, paint, or paper. In those cases, the value is not in the raw material but in the story, the rarity, the provenance, and the desire of collectors to own something no one else can, and coins operate under that same principle, where 1 cent in pocket change can suddenly be worth more than the most expensive luxury cars, houses, or even small islands if the conditions align. So with the 1999 penny, enthusiasts speculate that its worth could reach such unimaginable figures because there may be only one or just a handful of them in existence, and that makes it a holy grail for collectors worldwide. Imagine holding in your hand a coin that looks like any other penny to the untrained eye, yet knowing that beneath its humble copper surface lies a mistake so rare and a minting quirk so significant that experts and billionaires would line up to bid astronomical sums just to own it. It is this combination of mystery, scarcity, error, and speculation that gives rise to the legendary valuation. And the fascination doesn't stop there, because the idea that a small mistake could create such wealth sparks curiosity in everyone who hears about it. Suddenly people want to go through their jars of coins, dig into old piggy banks, and check every detail of every penny from 1999 and other years, just in case lightning might strike again. And that is the magic of coin collecting. It turns the ordinary into extraordinary. It shows us that even the most overlooked objects in our daily lives can hide stories worth millions, or in this case hundreds of millions. And while skeptics argue whether the actual penny exists or whether it has truly reached such a valuation, the important part is that the conversation inspires new collectors, keeps the community alive, and reminds us of the unpredictable nature of human value placed on objects. Because ultimately money itself is a construct, and if people agree that a particular coin with a rare error is worth more than a skyscraper, then that becomes the reality in auctions and private sales. So when we talk about the 1999 penny being valued at $342 million, we are not just discussing a coin but diving into the larger themes of rarity, human fascination with flaws, the power of storytelling, and the endless possibility that something extraordinary can be hiding right under our noses in the form of pocket change. So as we explore this story together, remember that while most pennies will never be worth more than a cent, the one that holds the right mistake at the right time could become a legend, and that is why the 1999 penny continues to capture imaginations, fuel debates, and stand as a shining example of how sometimes imperfection creates the most perfect treasures in the eyes of collectors and dreamers alike. Today we will explore the mind-blowing story of a humble 1995 1-cent penny that, due to its remarkable and unusual errors, mistakes, and mint mark anomalies, has been reported to reach a staggering value of up to $245 million, an astronomical leap from its simple face value of just 1 cent, and while at first glance this might sound like an exaggeration or urban legend, the truth behind why such coins command jaw-dropping prices lies in the combination of historical context, numismatic rarity, the fascination of collectors, and the unpredictable outcomes of minting mistakes that turn ordinary pieces of pocket change into once-in-a-lifetime discoveries. So let's unfold how a coin minted in huge numbers, part of a common series used daily by millions, could suddenly become the center of global attention and be treated like a priceless artifact rather than loose change you might ignore at the bottom of your drawer, because in 1995 the United States Mint was producing Lincoln cents in multiple facilities, most notably in Philadelphia and Denver, and that year saw one of the most widely recognized varieties in modern coin collecting history, the 1995 double-die obverse penny, where due to a misalignment in the die hubbing process, the inscriptions, particularly the word liberty and the motto "In God We Trust," appeared with dramatic doubling, instantly catching the eyes of collectors and quickly becoming a hot commodity. And while most of these double-die coins trade hands today for much more modest figures, from a few hundred to a few thousand depending on condition, there have been rumors, legends, and isolated claims of uniquely flawed examples, possibly involving misplaced mint marks, unusual die cracks, or experimental planchets, that could push the theoretical value into astronomical territory, because collectors thrive on the concept of uniqueness, and the rarer the error, the more insane the bidding war can become. And in the case of the coin rumored to have sold or at least been valued near the mind-blowing sum of $245 million, experts point towards a combination of multiple factors that would need to align perfectly, such as being one of a kind with both the double-die obverse and a dramatic mint mark blunder, possibly where a D or S mint mark was either misplaced, repunched, or accidentally struck onto a Philadelphia issue where it should not exist, combined with unusual metal composition, since sometimes a planchette intended for another denomination accidentally ends up in the wrong press, creating off-metal errors like a penny struck on a dime planchette, or an off-center strike leaving portions of the coin missing. And when all these mistakes converge in one specimen, what you get is not just a coin but essentially a numismatic miracle that collectors view as priceless. And this is why, even though most 1995 pennies remain worth only face value, and even the double-die obverse versions usually max out at a few $1,000s, the story of the fabled $245 million penny continues to fascinate, because it represents the ultimate dream of every treasure hunter, the idea that something so common, lying unnoticed in a jar or being handed over in change at the grocery store, could secretly hold the power to change someone's life forever. And that dream is what keeps the coin collecting community alive, vibrant, and endlessly curious, as every small variation, every die clash, every mint mark anomaly tells a unique story. And in the competitive world of high-end auctions where wealthy collectors compete to own the rarest of the rare, prices can soar to unimaginable heights when two determined bidders refuse to back down, and thus the tale of the 1995 penny reaching such a monumental value, while perhaps partly fueled by myth and exaggeration, cannot be dismissed outright, because history has shown us repeatedly that coins once thought worthless can later fetch fortunes, and the thrill lies in the possibility, in knowing that coins with double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, wrong metal compositions, and other mint errors are actively sought after by experts and enthusiasts alike, and when the spotlight shines on a particularly spectacular example, even the wealthiest investors are willing to pay astronomical sums to secure it as a showpiece in their collection. And for everyday people the lesson is simple yet powerful: never underestimate the potential of the spare change rattling around in your pocket, because that unassuming copper-plated zinc penny from 1995 might just hold the key to a hidden fortune. It might carry the telltale doubling on liberty, or a misplaced D mint mark, or a dramatic off-center strike that transforms it from ordinary currency into a historical treasure, and that possibility, however slim, fuels endless curiosity and excitement, proving once again that numismatics is not just about old coins locked away in dusty cabinets but about the stories, mistakes, and mysteries that turn money into history and history into legend. So the next time you come across a penny, especially from 1995, take a moment to look closely, because who knows, you might be holding on to the next $1 million error coin that bridges the gap between ordinary pocket change and an artifact so valuable it makes headlines around the world. Reminding us all that hidden treasures are not always buried deep in the ground but sometimes hiding in plain sight in the palm of your hand.